Hey, what's up? It looks like we're live, and yes, welcome to another hangout with me, Chantastic. Um, yes, so it's lunchtime around here, and I missed these the first couple days of this week just because I was, doing other things. But excited to be doing this again. Um, the past few weeks I've been working through the Epic React material, the workshops, and my goal is to just kind of work through them, kind of see what they're about, make some suggestions or changes along the way, and we're going to update them to React 18 coming up. So, um, that is what we're doing. I'm just kind of doing it all live, and today we have some more hook stuff that we need to work on. So, let's dive in. We have four examples left from the kind of, I guess, the last section of this course, which was about fetching data. I don't remember exactly where I left it off, but I know that there were four kind of extra credits left. So I'm hoping to nail all of those today, and then we can move on to the next module next. So that's it. Let's dive in. Okay. So what do we have here? Where do we leave things off? Um, I think we were here. So 100% store the state in object. Yes, we had made the change to use state, and we had updated, I think, all of this to, yes, use a pending, resolved, and rejected states. So like we're setting the state object, and then we were kind of rendering things based on those states. And I think that we had figured it all out by the point that I ended. Now, we did get to a point where we wanted to throw an error, and I don't think we'd actually fleshed all that out yet. So let's dive into that. We can do it. Okay. So let's see. Store the state in an object. Create an error boundary. I think this is where we were. Yeah, use state. Okay, yeah, number 4. Create an error boundary. We've already solved the problem for errors in our request. We're only handling that one error, but there are a lot of different kinds of errors that can happen in our applications, no matter how hard. Okay, so maybe I did get ahead. Image. Set state. Okay, yeah, no. We have a state. We have a single state object because it's moving us toward use reducer. It's kind of the mindset that I gather that we have here. Use reducer. Okay. Always had the problem for errors. Okay, not error boundaries, but we have errors. A lot of different kinds of errors that can happen in our application. No matter how hard you try, eventually your app code just isn't going to behave the way you expect. And you'll need to handle those exceptions. If an error is thrown and unhandled, your application will be removed from the page entirely, leaving the error with a blank screen. Kind of awkward. Luckily for us, there is a simple way to handle errors in our application using a special kind of component called an error boundary. Unfortunately, there is currently no way to create an error boundary component with a function. In the extra credit, read up on error boundary components and try to create one that handles this and any other error from the Pokemon Info component. To make your error boundary component handle errors from Pokemon Info component, instead of rendering the error through Pokemon Info component, you'll need to throw an error right in the function so React can hand that to the error boundary. So if React status rejected, throw error. Okay, all right, so we have that line as it is, right? So if we have status is rejected, we're going to throw an error. Now, trying to remember how we invoke this. So if I hit C, we should not get a Pokemon. And what happens? There was an error. So looks like it's not throwing, but let me double check. Maybe it's throwing and still rendering that. That would be weird. Okay, no. this state message. Let me see. This is the right file. Save that. Let's make sure. Charizard. Okay, we added an error boundary. Okay, we did this one. Okay, my bad. There was an error, and then we weren't able to kind of like pass the error along very easily. Okay, cool, got it. All right, so we did that one, and we have an error boundary in place, I guess, just as a reminder. So we grabbed an error boundary from the documentation. Actually, I'd love to see the new docs. Shoot, I'm in mini. Ah, dang it. Gotta open up. Still getting used to Arc sometimes because some of these things open in a mini Arc, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. Let's see. So localhost 3000. Okay, cool. Now let's put these back. All right, so back to this last one. Get all the way to 5. Yes, okay. So if we go to react.dev and look at the error boundary documentation, error boundary, catching errors with the error boundary. Yeah, it looks like more or less we have kind of a similar component that we've had in this documentation in the past, which is really nice. Except with significantly more information, which is great. Alternatives migrate to a simple component from, okay. Yeah, cool. Okay. Okay, so 5, remount the error boundary. You might notice that with the change we've added, we now cannot recover from an error. For example, type in incorrect Pokemon name. Yes, we actually just saw this. So incorrect Pokemon name, we have an error, and then we can't recover. So we type in Mew, hit submit, nothing happens. Notice the error, type a correct Pokemon. Notice that it doesn't show the new Pokemon's information. The reason this is happening is because the error that's stored in the internal state of the error boundary component isn't getting reset. So it's not rendering the children you're passing it. So what we need to do is reset the error boundary's error state to null. So it will re-render. But how do we access the internal state of the error boundary to reset it? Well, there are a few ways we could do this by modifying the error boundary. But one thing you can do when you want to reset the state of the component is by providing it a key prop, which can be used to unmount and remount a component. Whoops, I'm in trouble. Okay, so what do we have? So we have, okay, so what we have here is we want to use a key, which is really interesting. I haven't actually used an error boundary like this before, so this would be a fun experiment. Okay, so let's read through this again. So what we need to do is reset error boundaries error state to null. So it will re-render. But how do we access the internal state of the error boundary to reset it? Well, there are a few ways, but one thing we can do, reset the state of a component, is by providing it a key. Okay, now let's actually investigate this error boundary again. So it's a class component. It has this is error, has error false. And so we want to just have it re-render again, which makes sense. Okay, so let's try giving the component or the error boundary a key. Is that something we can do? Whoa. My Vim is freaking out. There we go. Okay, so error boundary, we would put a key here. And then what state do we have? I guess we have the Pokemon state, so we could put a Pokemon on there as the key. Pokemon name, sorry. Pokemon name. That's what got me into trouble last time, actually. Cool, so we did that. Change this to N, so that's gonna fail, right? Yes, and then we change this to Mew, and that should work again. Yes, it does. Pikachu. Wonderful. Okay, cool. So this one's done. Super easy. That was actually really cool. I have not done that. Yeah, I haven't done it that way, which is really neat. I like it. Let's see. Okay, so use a React error boundary. As cool as our own error boundary is, I'd rather not have to maintain it long term. Luckily for us, there's an npm package we can use instead, and it's already installed into the project. It's called React error boundary. You know, honestly, I kind of wish that React came with a standard error boundary. It feels really weird to have a package for like a standard error boundary. And I realize that it's designed to be like configurable and whatnot, but yeah, I don't know. Seems odd to me. Go ahead and give that a look and swap out your own error boundary for the one from React error boundary. It is important to note that React error boundary do not handle all types of errors. In our example, if you it works nicely because, as mentioned, is extra credit 4 that we are throwing an error right in the function. It can also happen that there are some errors not handled by React error boundary. To learn more about how to handle all types of errors, you can read Handle All Errors. Okay, so let's open this up and see what it's about. So this is by Brian Vaughn. Always does great stuff. Error boundary with fallback prop. Okay, cool. So it should behave exactly like we have. Hey, what's up? What's up, Skillful Work? Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out, even if it's just for a little bit. Glad you're here. Glad you are here. Always nice to hang out. Yeah, we're just working on error boundaries right now. I learned today that you can put a key on an error boundary like this, and it'll just, you know, re-render that, which is awesome. Really cool, handy way to do that. So today we are going to, we're going to install React error boundary. I don't know if it's already installed. Let's give it a try. So we'll import React error boundary. Yeah, it looks like it. So React error boundary props with render. Interface, error boundary, props with render, error boundary, props with render. Curious if what else we can pull from this. Okay, error boundary props, error boundary props with component, error boundary props with feedback. Okay, so Okay, let's look at those docs again and see what. Okay, so API, error boundary components. Error boundary around React components to catch errors and render fallback UI. The components several purposes. Error boundary with fallback prop, fallback render. Okay, so it looks like maybe the error boundary, this one just composes all of those other options, fallback prop and component. So what's the basic one? Yeah, fallback. Okay, cool. So error boundary is what we want, it looks like. Error boundary like that. We can now get rid of this. I'm using a new Vim plugin and it is confusing the heck out of me. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I did a stream with the VS Code team, and this is the Vim plugin that I usually use. And I've been trying the NeoVim one, VS Code NeoVim. I think that's what I don't know, one of them. And it's interesting because it uses you have to actually install NeoVim, and then it uses that NeoVim installation and it kind of like communicates commands back and forth to it or something. But sometimes that I think I've gotten used to the way that the other plugin works, so I might actually just install that or kind of enable that again because good lord, I'm having so much trouble. Okay, so I'm going to disable this, and then I'm going to re-enable my VS Code one because it's what I'm most familiar with. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So we have our error boundary that should just replace it. We should be good to go there. And let's see what happens. Yeah, for sure. It looked a little, it is a little complicated. Oh, how to broadcast. Yeah, it is a little complicated. There's just a lot that you have to set up NeoVim, which is cool. I mean, NeoVim's awesome. I'm not exactly sure how to use plugins. I think it is kind of nice that if you were using NeoVim or into NeoVim, you could kind of maintain possibly a setup between both of those, which is cool. But yeah. Okay. All right, so what happened here? So error identity, parsing error identify error boundary has already been defined. Oh yeah, I didn't disable that yet because I was having trouble with my Vim. There we go. Okay, so now we're using the package and looking for that, didn't work. Okay, cool. So it looks like we are cooking now, which is great. Perfect. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So remount the error boundary. You might have noticed we did that. Reset the error boundary. You may have noticed a problem with the way we're resetting the internal state with the error boundary using the key. Unfortunately, we're not only remounting the error boundary, we're also remounting the Pokemon info, which results in a flash of initial submit Pokemon state whenever we change the Pokemon. So let's backtrack on that, and instead we'll use React error boundaries reset error boundary function, which will be passed to our error fallback component to reset the state of the error boundary when the user clicks try again button. Feel free to open up the finished version by clicking the link to the app to see, so you can get an idea of how this is supposed to work. Okay, once you have this button wired up, you need to react to this reset of the error boundary state by resetting your own state so you don't wind up triggering the error again. To do this, you can use the onReset prop on the error boundary. In that function, we can simply set Pokemon name to an empty string. Okay, so let's look at the production deploy of this and see what they are talking about. So if we look up Mew, we get the result. And then if we type X, we see there was an error, unsupported Pokemon X, try Charizard. So try again, then resets everything. Okay, got it. Okay, no problem. Okay, so let's run that. Mew, we have Mew. X, what happens? Okay, so we don't have anything set up for that error boundary. Now there are a couple suggestions here, and we can look at the documentation as well. Reset, okay, so let's backtrack, and instead we'll use React error boundaries reset error boundary function, which we pass to our error fallback component. Okay. Okay, so what are the new things we're working with? We have this, we have error fallback. Hey, what's up, default? I was trying to figure out what this is. I think it's a high. I think it's a wave. I'm out of it. I don't know. I'm assuming that it is though. Hello, how's it going? I'm just gonna assume the best, and you know, it's not. You're not making fun of me, which you can, totally can. Okay, so error fallback would be passed to our error fallback component to reset the state of the error boundary when it is clicked. Okay, I'm having trouble parsing some of this, so I'm going to look at the documentation again. Okay, so we have, is error fallback something that we're working with? Okay, so error fallback is something that I think we're going to pass. But then what does the API look like for reset error boundary? Call reset error boundary to reset the error boundary and retry the render. Fallback render. Error message. So, okay, so this is nice because it actually gets the error, and then we take reset error boundary. What are we doing with it though? This is where I'm confused. So we spit out the error, but then we're not doing anything with it. And then later on, we have fallback render. So fallback render, and then on reset the state. Okay. It's a little confusing to me because this is not doing anything. Maybe it's suggesting that that's like we need to do that. Just looking for an example that actually shows everything. Okay, well, let's give it a try. Okay, so fallback render. So and one of the things that's kind of tricky is just how big everything is. Okay, so set. We've done all that. Okay, error boundary. We have the fallback. Okay, render prop function responsible for trying the fallback UI based on the thrown value. Okay. Okay, so let's try this. So we're gonna say, so render, so fallback render, this is gonna be a function, right? And then that function will take an error. So let's just figure out this first part first as we learn this. Okay, so here, and then I can actually spit out the error.message here, right? Yes, okay. Okay, so let's try this again. Mu. I broke it. Good Lord. Today's not my day, you know? Sometimes you have good days, sometimes you're not catching it, you know? Okay, mu. Okay, got it. Okay. There was an error. We don't see the error yet, even though, so we have fallback render and we're taking the error. Oh, how is that? What's this API look like? Are we getting that as an object or are these arguments? Okay, that's my bad. So that is, looks like that's the error. And then prettier is pissed. Okay, that should fix it. What am I doing? Oh, shit. So frustrating. Fuck. Okay. All right, let's try restarting on it on a different port. I'm not sure. Okay, 3001. Okay. Is it actually going to work now? Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm losing my mind right now. Okay. There was a time that I was, actually decent at programming, and now I have no idea what's happening. Okay, error boundary with fallback render. Okay, so we have an error boundary and we have fallback render. I think we're using it the way that we're supposed to, where we are getting these values from an object, right? So we should have an error and reset boundary. We're not touching that one yet. Okay, reset the state of the app so the error doesn't happen again. Okay, fallback is what we're using. Now we're using fallback render. Return debugger. See what's going on. Okay, we gotta hit that error. Okay, so we found our debugger. Let's see what's happening in here. Error message is undefined. Fallback render. Am I spelling that right? Okay, so we're getting in there. Okay, error boundary, fallback render. I guess maybe we need to set on reset. Let's try that on reset. Details. We'll just log out the details, I guess. And then let's see. Let's just fill out the rest of this to see kind of like what the issue is. Reset error boundary. Okay, so we're going to take that function. We now have it. And then let's see, call reset error boundary, and retry the render. Okay, but there's no button in here doing that. It's just what we have here. So that's fine, I guess. And then reset okay, yeah, I mean, I don't see anything that's different right now. Maybe I'm overlooking something, but okay, mu, we get it, x. There was an error. Okay, so we logged out error code Pokemon info component. React will try to recreate this component tree from scratch using the error boundary you provided. Okay, so let's put a button here. Button type. And then reset error boundary. Whoops, that'll be on click. And then we will I don't think we need to call it with anything, so we can just do that maybe. And reset. Okay, now this reset function, we'll need to do a couple things. And we're going to set Pokemon to nothing. Empty string. Set Pokemon name, right? Yeah, set Pokemon name to empty string. Let's try this again. Okay, so if we hit M, what happens? Okay, reset. Okay, then it takes us back to this. X, submit a Pokemon name. Okay, reset. Mew. Reset. Okay, cool. It's interesting. I'm confused here, honestly, like why the documentation is not showing how it's used here. And yeah, maybe it's just like, minimal, but like it seems super weird to me that it's not showing how it's used. So I don't think we need to, I don't know if we have to pass on reset. Unless we wanted to split this up, right? So on reset, maybe we would want to do that on at the app level, so then we don't have to keep this in line, which would make a lot of sense. So then theoretically we could extract this. Oops. So get all that, take that out, call okay, and then pull fallback render out here, function fallback render. Okay, save that. Now, if I understand this correctly, it should do the same thing as before. Oh, interesting. Oh, shoot. Yep. That's just calling it automatically. My bad. Just a bad change on my side. Okay, so then we have the reset button. Okay, cool. Yes, now this makes more sense because now this is all fully isolated. I'm still not sure why we're not seeing the error message. I'm clearly not doing something right. But now this is all isolated, and then our callback, like what affects the state, is happening in this side effect here, which I guess we don't need the details. But like, so this is still kind of like handled generically. And then over on this side, we can affect the state that is local to this component instead of having to have that in line. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool. I think that does it. Let's look at the code, the examples. So I think that was, 5? Remount error boundary, or maybe it was 6. Let's see, we can tell from the imports, right? So 6, yeah, error boundary. So this one's using the key prop. So we have fallback component. So we have an error fallback. I think that might be imported from, error fallback. Oh no, okay. So error fallback. So we have an error, right? Logging the error message, and then we have the reset error boundary button on click. Try again. Yes, okay. And then let's see, we have a function here, handle submit and handle reset. Yeah, okay. So yeah, on reset, we're doing the local state. Cool, makes sense. Awesome. We did it. Narrowly. Narrowly. Okay, so that was 6 or 7. Reset the error boundary. Um, use reset keys. Okay, so what does this one look like? Unfortunately, now the user can't simply select a new Pokemon and continue with their day. They have to first click try again and then select their new Pokemon. I think it would be cooler if we can just submit a new Pokemon name and the error boundary would reset itself automatically. Click for us React Error Boundary. Luckily for us, React Error Boundary supports this with the reset keys prop. You pass an array of values to the reset keys, and if the error boundary is in an error state and any of the values change, it will reset the error boundary. Your reset keys prop should be Pokemon name. Okay, so I assume that means we take on reset out and we do reset keys, which will be an array, which will include Pokemon name. Without any further changes, let's see what happened. So we have Mew. Then we're going to look up me. Then Mew again. Okay, I think that did it, but it's kind of unclear how that's supposed to work. So Mew, submit, we get Mew, hit me, okay. There was an error, unsupported Pokemon, me, try Mewtwo, try again. Okay, Mew, me, Mewtwo. Okay, Mew. Okay, I'm gonna have to look at this one to understand what's being asked. Okay, 8. Okay, we reset the keys and then handle reset. Okay, stays the same. Keys Pokemon name. So it looks like all this stayed the same except for the reset keys, which we did. Woof. Okay. Can't simply select a new Pokemon and continue with their day. So let me take the reset key. Maybe I'm missing the what was happening. Ah, I see. It wouldn't let us reset again. Okay, cool. And then the reset keys does. Pokemon name. Mewtwo. Okay, cool. Now let's figure out why this error isn't working. Clearly I'm not using it correctly. So let's figure out why. So I thought it was user message or error.message, but let's double check. So error dot, Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here too. Error message. So why did I do massage or something? Error massage. Okay, let's just copy it wholesale. Okay. We're gonna go back here. Interesting, still not seeing it. So we haven't found the problem yet. Reset keys, Pokemon name, fallback, render. Oh, fallback component. Reset keys, set Pokemon name. We did it in line. I don't think it matters. Let's look at our error function, error fallback, error. Pretty sure we copied this whole thing wholesale. Let's do it again. Wait. Let's log the error. Oh, maybe it's the error that I'm sending. Okay, so how are we handling this? That's why. That's why. Okay, cool. So we have state, error, idle. So if there's, okay. So if there's a Pokemon name pending, otherwise idle. And then there's this destructuring of the status. Got it. Okay, cool. So you're sending the error in state, which I totally, completely missed. Got it. Pokemon status pending. Pokemon status resolved. Pokemon, yes, error. Status error. So the errors are getting put on state. And then we do this. So if it's idle, submit a Pokemon. If status is rejected, I guess in his, this is the final state. Default state. Oops. throw error. Rejected if pending. Yep. Okay, we have that. If resolved. Yep. And then we have this one, which is this is not possible, but just in case. Okay, so now that we're doing that and we're actually throwing the error that we're tracking on state, this should be the case. Yes, finally we see it. Okay, cool. Let's support a Pokemon E. Try Bulbasaur. Oh my word. That was nightmarish for me. Absolute train wreck. Okay, so now that error is coming from our promise. Okay, and that's why we have the error message, is because it's coming from this promise. We're putting that error on this state, and then we're throwing that error. Had I wanted to make the other way work, I needed to throw an actual error message, I think. So let's test that theory. So if I do this, this would have worked, maybe? Yeah, cool. So that was my bad. I was just throwing a empty error that didn't have a message. Okay, cool. I think that's I think that's it. I think that we did everything that we had wanted to do for this module. I guess while we're here, might as well just get set up on the next one. Let's see. So let's go to Eproc React and see what that next module is. Workshops, we have those here. React Fundamentals. We've now done all of React hooks. And then we have advanced React hooks. Okay. So we'll go to Epic React. Actually, let's just grab the repository from here. Man, that was a slog for sure. I think this is the disadvantage of leaving like almost a week in between like the time that you did it the first time and then coming back to it, is like all this stuff just kind of like leaves your brain in a hurry. But I mean, it is good, honestly, like sometimes, because you lose this stuff, and then like kind of forcing yourself back into it kind of like reaffirms it. I think there's that concept of what's that learning style where you kind of leave a certain delay, where you don't think about it for a while, and then you try to bring it back into your brain, like, so you almost forget it, and then your brain has to like really like reach for it, and then you learn it a little bit better or something. One of those kind of brain hack things. um, okay, so let's open this next one. I think I have this running, so let's close that, and then I have a phantom one running somewhere else. So I don't know. God be with us. Okay, so let's open this up, and then I will run. Actually, I need to npm install that, and then we can kind of see what our next examples are going to be for later. If you're still hanging out, do you have any questions about what we covered today? All right, gotta go. Skillful work, always good to see you. Thanks for being here. Bye. Yeah, if you're still here, let me know if you have any questions, and then we'll kind of cover those before we go. Let's see, npm start. We got the code here. Yeah, we can do it on 3001, no problem. I'll figure out what's going on the other one later. Okay, cool. So what we're going to cover in the next one, we'll have use reducer, simple counter, use callback, use context, use layout effect, use imperative handle, scroll to the top, and then use debug value, use media. Cool. This is going to be awesome. I am a big fan of use reducers, so that'll be a lot of fun. Okay, cool. Well, you got to see me suffer today, and that's kind of like always worth it, I think. So anyway, that's it. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out. If you want to, I guess, hang out some more, I actually just joined Blue Sky, which is kind of an interesting little thing. I don't know if you're on there. Follow me. Let's see. What am I? I'm chantastic.bsky.social, whatever. So I'm on there. You can hang out with me there. Also, you can join the Lunch Dev server. I think on Friday we're going to be watching Hackers together, so that'll be a fun time. I've never seen it before. So yes, I hope that you have an awesome day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.